some more gin. That's good.
Yeah, perfect. It's the cheap stuff.
Tastes alright. Can totally drink this.
€5.
5 Really? 5?
I think so, yeah, Aldi.
Aldi? Aldi is not bad.
Yeah, really cheap.
Has some good stuff on it. In it? In the
Yeah, in the store. You can get anything you want there. A lot of good stuff. It's way cheaper than in America, but I guess they have Aldi's on the East Coast.
Really?
I'm from the West Coast, though, so
okay.
I've never seen one.
Yeah, so let's just start. Where did it come from?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Dennis Bogle.
Yeah.
Or should I talk to you?
No, we talk to one another.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I should look at you or look there?
So basically, let's start again. So today I'm joined by Dennis Bogle, and this is our my first video podcast, as you can see. And I hope maybe... So my interest in video podcast is that when you just listen to the podcast, it's like great when you like work out, when you're driving the car, and for like all kinds of activities that you do, and you have like your ears free to listen to whatever. And if you wanna hear some interesting stories from some people, you can listen to podcasts. But I feel like if you have the visual component, thank you.
No worries.
You will correct my English.
Yeah, English is one of my best suits. So.
Okay, thank you. That's why I asked you. If you don't have the visual component,
yeah.
There's like a lot of like visual cues of the face, the hands, how people are.
I agree. Yeah,
like
a lot of
working
things
with each other, and it's like if you see them, it gives like a bigger picture of what's happening in the conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, some podcasts and like for example Audible for books and things you can just purely listen to, and those are great. But yeah, we're definitely living in a visual age. So like with YouTube and everything, people really prefer to see who is speaking. Like for example, if I'm on YouTube and I'm watching any video, almost regardless of what it is, if somebody's just speaking and it's just a blank screen, I often get bored of it. I mean, you can put it on in the background while you're cleaning or playing video games, that can work, but if you're not watching people move and interact, it typically gets boring. And you get more of a full picture when you see the people and see how they're interacting and speaking. And that goes with podcasts, it goes with, anything you can think of, really. So that's what I would think.
Yeah, I feel the same. So, and today I'm speaking to you, Dennis Bogle, and we met in Louisiana.
Right.
So that's the bar where we are both currently working. And well, you come from America, and
right, yeah.
You moved to Germany.
Correct.
And that's tell me a little bit about your journey and how you came to be here.
Yeah, sure. It's kind of a long story. So I'm from Vancouver, Washington. It's about 10 minutes away from Portland, Oregon, a much larger city that people might know or recognize if they hear this. People probably don't know Vancouver, Washington. It has a population of about 160,000. It's very, very, very southwest Washington. It's right on the border, which is the Columbia River, to Oregon. And it's essentially it's a suburb of Portland, the greater area. I'm born in Michigan. We moved to Los Angeles, and we went to where I lived my whole life, pretty much since 1990, Vancouver, Washington. My story coming here is kind of long and complex. First of all, I'm half German, so I have two passports. My mom is born and raised in Trier, Germany. She grew up in Mariahof. Actually, we're the owner of our business, our restaurant where we work at right now. My mom grew up 2 houses away from him. My uncle,
really?
I've ran into our boss, we will call him, a couple times, in this kind of a suburb of Trier, Mariahof. I don't know what you would call that.
Mariahof,
A borough. I think you guys call it a borough. My uncle is still living there now, so the house is still owned by my family. Where my mom grew up. My uncle is here, my sister is here. But long story short, so yeah, my dad was in the military. He was in the Air Force in the 80s. And he was stationed in Bitburg, Germany, which if people listening don't know, we're in Trier, Germany right now. And Bitburg is about 20... Yeah, here's Porta Nigra. The oldest and most intact Roman gate north of the Alps. So Trier is a very interesting city because it has so much Roman history, and on top of that it has so much history in general. Like before the Romans, you also had the Neolithic people long before that, and you had the Celtic in the middle. Not to mention all of the feudalism, so all the castles and everything. Burg Eltz is a nice castle in the area that was never destroyed by the French, if you guys like castles. Anyways, my dad was in the Air Force, and he was stationed in Bitburg. My dad is different than many Americans, so am I, in the sense that we like to really get out of our comfort zone and our bubble and explore and see new things and meet new people. So whereas his friends or comrades, or what you like to call them, co-workers, whatever, they would stay on base, and they would, like my dad told me, like these guys would complain that they don't have a Taco Bell, for example. And my dad was like, get the hell away from me. Like, I'm not in Europe to eat Taco Bell. Like, he wanted to go into the city, meet the people, eat the food, learn the language, and things like this. He didn't want to just stay in this little American bubble, which I have a lot of military friends here, like at Spangdahl and Bitburg, Ramstein, and I see that all the time. They work on base, they live on base or near, and they kind of stay in their little bubble. They don't really get out much to meet the locals, really see what it's like living in Germany, working in Germany, and all that stuff. So my dad met my mom in Bitburg on New Year's, Sylvester they call it here, and long story short, she was sad at the bar, and he was dancing with her friends, and he kept asking her friends, like, who's your friend, who's a pretty girl at the bar, and finally he got one of them to introduce them, and my mom wanted nothing to do with them. I don't think she was interested in Americans or was whatever. I think she was just bored and didn't want to be there. And I guess my dad kissed her in Sylvester, like at the count of midnight, as we would say when the ball drops, as that's what we watch in New York. But they don't seem to do that here. And here I am. So I'm second born. My sister is a year and a half older than me. She was born on an Air Force base in Bitburg, which is slowly closing down now. I was born on an Air Force base in Oscoda, Michigan, which was closed under the Clinton administration. My dad's from Los Angeles. So anyways, he married my mom. They had my sister. We went to America. My dad was still in the military. They had me. My dad left the military. We went back to Los Angeles, where he's born and raised. And then we ended up moving north to Vancouver, Washington, or Portland, Oregon region. And that's where I lived my whole life. So again, it's a long story. Long story short, our whole lives growing up, my mom always told us that we have dual citizenship. They made sure of that when we were born. And I never really fully believed it or really knew what that meant. And so I was interested in that, but I didn't really know much about it. So I went, I graduated high school, I joined the military, I got out, I was working different jobs. My sister...
Drink something.
Yeah. My sister had enough of America for some reason. And she wanted a change. She wanted to try something new. And she got the wild idea to move to Germany. All the while, I was kind of watching her do this. She got her German passport at a German embassy in Portland. And she packed her bags and left. And I was like, wow, okay. Impressive. And that was when the idea was probably first planted. I was like, oh, we can just pack our bags and move halfway across the world to another country and live there as a citizen. That's pretty interesting. And then in America, we're always hearing these fantastic things about Germany and Sweden and Norway and Finland. You always hear free education, their systems are amazing, free healthcare, and blah blah blah. And so it always sounds like a dream to us, like wow, how amazing it must be over there. And anyways, she moved there. A couple years passed, and basically she got married here and had a baby. We decided to visit her, so of course we could show our support and see the baby and everything like that. My nephew Hayden, and which is not what's up, Hayden. So anyways, we came here, and I was already at a crossroads in my life. I was working at AmeriCorps. This is kind of like our version of when Germans do a social year. I don't know who the main audience is, if the Germans or Americans or so, but yeah.
I don't know either.
So I don't know who I should explain it to. So Americans may know what AmeriCorps is. It's the domestic version of Peace Corps. Mm-hmm. If I had to explain it to a German, I would say it's the same as doing your social year. Uh-huh. But I did 3 years. So I did the military, and then I did 3 years social year.
That's very interesting that you did both.
I did both. Mm-hmm. I'm very weird, radical person. I kind of see both. I did do both extremes if I can. And I really loved my job. I was working with kids. And I was part of a Washington Reading Corps, so I helped sort of disadvantaged youth kind of learn to read so that they could pick up, basically so we could help them pick up their testing scores and levels so that they could get more on par with their peers from basically nicer areas. So that was an amazing job. But anyway, so I was working that job, but it was only 3 years. And that was coming to an end. I was studying online, and I was also driving to my university to finish classes on the weekend. But I knew that was coming to an end, and I had only a few options in front of me. And one was to move back to my hometown, only an hour away, get established again, and finish my college there. Meanwhile, I saw that my sister was living in Germany. We came here for a visit, and I fell in love with it. For an American, it's really easy to fall in love with Europe. Everything seems so old to us, and especially because I'm from the West Coast, so it's even later developed than like if you're visiting New York, for example. So like we're really a young state, a younger state, and so I just saw all the old buildings. I saw the Porta Nigra, I saw the Dome, I saw the Basilica, I saw Kaisertim and Babratim and all these old Roman baths. And I love history and I love architecture, although I've not studied it. I don't know anything about it, but I just love all the different things. And then I saw the castles like Cochem Castle, Burg Els, all the history. I mean, we went to Neuschwanstein in South Germany. I saw the Alps, Zugspitze. So it was like an amazing trip, and living somewhere is never the same as visiting somewhere, of course. But it was an amazing trip, and I just loved it so much. And I just saw that, like, if my sister can do it and she can make it work, so can I. And that's when the idea really came to me, like, I'm going to move back to my hometown and finish my degree anyways. I have options to finish my degree online, and also I'd like to study abroad if possible. And so honestly, when I just thought about it again, we ended up visiting a second time. As I said, it's a long and complicated story. So first we visited when she was pregnant. Second, we visited when the baby was born, my nephew Hayden. Again, fell in love with the place, everything. And after that, I started to get the idea of seriously moving to Germany. And then, when we returned to America, my job was ending, and I was at a crossroads in my life. I had another part of the story is I had a girlfriend at the time, and she was we were once very serious in the past. We had a long gap, and then we were dating again. Well, she was nice enough to break up with me. But I've never been broken up with before. I've always been the bad one, I guess, breaking up. But it was the nicest thing she could have done to me, because she kind of let me go. And I probably was trying to cling on to something that wasn't there anymore anyways. And I actually talked to her. I talked to many people. Some people tried to talk me out of moving. My dad, a couple other people, for just purely logical reasons. I had a Mustang. I had furniture. I was in the middle of school. So I mean, if you look at it, especially from a German, from a logical point of view, it was insane. Why should I do it? Other than why the hell not? Life experience and whatever. But ultimately, talking to my ex-girlfriend, we were talking, and she said, basically, if you don't go now, and if you don't take this opportunity now, chances are you'll never go. And the reason being, had I stayed in Vancouver another few years, finished my degree, I probably would have found another girlfriend, or I would have gotten a job, or I would have done something, or anything may have happened that would have entrenched me even further in my hometown and given me more reasons to stay. Kind of like strike while the iron's hot. And I knew that she was right, and I knew that at this point in my life I had to move and my job was ending. That was already clear. So the idea is, where do I move? Do I move back to my hometown, or I do something absolutely crazy and move to Europe? And for me, I love adventure, I love traveling, I love meeting new people, and I got the opportunity to come here, and I took it. So I bought the plane ticket, I arranged everything. My wife now, who's a German from Trier, her mom was my mom's best friend. They grew up together. It's a long story. And I ended up staying with them when I moved here. So I knew people here that could kind of help me get started and get on my feet. And just kind of went from there. Sorry?
Your uncle?
Yeah, my uncle. He didn't help so much, but I did reestablish a relationship. So like, I've only seen my uncle a few times, like growing up, because he visited America and things like this. But I was able to reestablish a relationship with my uncle, which was really nice. And also my grandma was living here. That's a big point I left out. My grandma died last year in February. She was 92. But I got to have a year and a half with her. And you have to understand, I've only seen my grandma like 3 times in my life.
Oh, really?
Because we're living on the other side of the world. And I mean, a lot of that was when I was a baby or a little kid. So I saw her maybe like when I was 13 years old, we made a trip to Europe, and that always stuck with me. And so I remember her from that trip, and then that's it. Mm-hmm. And so I got to move here, and my uncle and I would go to visit my grandma as often as we could. Well, she was in the nursing home here. And for me, that was a great life achievement, to be able to kind of reestablish a relationship with my grandma before she passed. And that was kind of another small bit that motivated me to come here, that I have family in Germany. And the best way I can say it is, so yeah, imagine if you're half Brazilian, or you're half Japanese, or you're half
just imagine
or whatever, if you're growing up in, say, Germany, and you're half Brazilian and you have a Brazilian passport, one day when you're in your 20s, if you don't have kids and you're in a good situation to do it, maybe you want to go to Brazil for a couple of years and see what it's like and learn the language and meet the people. And if you have a grandma and an uncle and a sister living in Brazil, and they can and you have some friends who can help you get established, that's basically what I did, just to Germany.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very long story, but I think that's the cliff notes of it. I'm probably missing parts, but yeah. And then I came here, I started getting started. And I figured, okay, I need to find a job. And I really love the ice cream here, Calcera. It's like my favorite ice cream. I really like gelato, and I like this. I like German ice cream, and I like this Italian ice cream. We have Ben and Jerry's and stuff in America, I know. But it's something that and when you try something that's different, you kind of like it or appreciate it more. I think that's also why Germans love American ice cream, and we love Italian and European ice cream. So I thought, okay, maybe I can work there. And I called them, and they just gave me the runaround, and they seemed really stressed. So I'm like, okay, where else can I work? And then I thought of Irish Pub. not because I've been a bartender before or because of any experience, just because I thought, okay, I'm not speaking German at any kind of a fluent level yet. And I figured maybe they will hire me just based on, the English level. And I got in contact with them, and they said, yeah, we will be hiring. We're looking for students and English speakers, but give us a call next month. And at this point, I was like, no, I want to start making money now. I don't want to wait a month to maybe get a job. And then I just started thinking, where can I work in Trier? And I thought of Wirtshaus, because that was my dad's favorite restaurant for some reason. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. He was stationed in Bitburg, and so he loved Bitburger, the beer, and he has an affinity for anything involved with this brewery, because that's nostalgic for him. It reminds him of his service in the 80s and where it all began, And so that was his favorite place. Now I think my parents really disliked the place. They had very bad service last time they went. But this is in the Kornmarkt, and Wirtshaus is just between Donemie and Louisiana, which I never in a million years would have dreamed that I moved to Germany and get a job at somewhere like this. But then I thought, Louisiana, and I'm like, it's an American themed restaurant. It's kind of like an Irish pub hiring an Irish person. I was like, Louisiana has to hire me just purely based on the grounds that I'm an American. And I called them up, asked if they're hiring. I came in, I spoke with some people, and one manager was happy to speak with me. Another manager thought that I was, there's no point to hire me because I'm not speaking the language, and what good will I be and all of this. And I got really lucky with Lars. He was, he's a boss of ours. He's really great. He's leaving soon. He was very excited about me. And he called me right away, and he said, hey, I heard you're an American. I heard this and that. What's going on? Have you ever worked as a bartender before? And I said, no, never in my life. And he said, okay, when would you like to begin? And I was like, okay, how about next Monday? And he's like, sure. And I started washing dishes in the kitchen for a week and being a food waiter. And then they took me to the bar, and it went from there. And for me, I'm very proud that I was able to learn bartending from the Germans and learn how to do a proper, German beer with the foam, the Schaum, and the Pilsner, the Stout, Weizen, and my favorite of all, Fietz, the hard cider that's made in this region. So for me, it's a pretty fun job and nice while you're a student, and so. Yeah, anyways, I'm just rambling now. Anyways, I'm just finishing my degree here. I'm doing a Bachelor's of Science in Environmental Science. I'm finishing from a military university in America. And then from there, I will either go for my master's degree at Trier University, or I will choose another university in America, or I will go for work right away. Maybe in the Forest Service, Fish and Wildlife, or the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. So that's my bio.
Cool. Yeah, you actually have gotten to the next question I wanted to ask. You went through a lot of questions that I wanted to ask.
I ran through a lot of it on my own, I'm sure.
So I didn't have to say anything.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I don't have to say anything as long as
Your job is to get me talking. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I did, and I can just relax and listen. So basically, your degree. So how did you... What was so interesting about it, and what is still interesting about it, and why did you choose it?
Good question. What motivates me? So as I did my 3 years with AmeriCorps, we were working in a place called Stevenson, Washington. It's an hour away. It's right in the middle. Okay, that's not true. It's right in the middle of a gorge, meaning there's a mountain range. So there's a mountain range coming from Canada to California. That's quite high, actually. The Columbia River cuts through this, and this creates a gorge in between, which also funnels wind and has some other topographical phenomena. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's so beautiful, it's protected by our government. It's a national scenic area. I forget the exact term for it, but it's protected. It's so beautiful. So you can't build in many places. There's many things. The Gifford Pinchot National Forest is... We're living at the base of it, And just across the river, there's the Mount Hood National Forest, I believe. Beautiful, surrounded by trees, forest, hundreds of hikes, mountains, waterfalls. And before then, I didn't have a real love for nature yet. I didn't really understand it. But one of my best friends in America, Jesse Krause, it's another long story. When I got out of the military, I was working at a factory making computer chips. I met this guy there, and we became really good friends. And from there, a few years later, we became roommates. And it was at this point that I found the job at AmeriCorps, and I convinced him to come with me. And so we both left our jobs, got a new job, and started working in the gorge. The problem was it was an hour drive there and an hour drive back every day. And we were poor, so it was hard to afford that and everything. So out of nowhere, we both decided to move. And that's why I moved an hour away from my hometown. And it was beautiful. First, we found a very horrible house. I mean, we thought it was haunted, and I don't even believe in ghosts. And, we heard creaks and sounds at night and scratching on the floorboards, and there was no protection from the elements. There was moisture inside because the windows didn't even keep the water out. And it was the most awful place I've ever lived. Lived there for a few months, and then we found the most amazing place. We got so lucky just after that. And it was a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-story townhouse with an attached garage and a yard. And we split the rent 3 ways, and I was only paying $200-$300 a month. It was unbelievable. Oh. And we lived 10 minutes away from our work. We're out in the country. Stevenson has a population of 1,200 people, and I was working in a town that had a population of 300 people. And this town is sort of just at the base of the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. It was an old logging community, is what happened. And what happened, I could go on and on and on. So you tell me if I should stop or not, as I'll just keep talking.
I'm fine.
We had the spotted owl controversy in 1990. And what that means is there was due to tree harvesting, what am I trying to say? Due to the lumber industry, and many other things, this spotted owl was going extinct. So it was on the endangered list. And so our federal government stepped in. And so there was lots of debate and argument and conflict in the region. So the locals may view it, is it still going? The locals may view it as a...
Yeah, I have to restart it. I didn't know. I never recorded as long, so now we will have a dark screen for a second.
Okay.
And then I will restart it again. And we're live.
Back on?
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm from Clark County, so we have different counties. Not state, from the state of Washington, but from the county, from Clark County. Just next to it is Skamania County. It used to be the richest county in the state, and then after the spotted owl controversy happened, it became one of the poorest in the state. This is also why AmeriCorps is there, so that we can help. It's a poor community out there, and we were there as supplemental support, auxiliary support to help students kind of raise their grades and raise their test scores. So we were tutors in a way, kind of. But I also worked one-on-one, and I worked in small groups. But we had the spotted owl controversy in 1990, and the locals viewed it as a federal land grab, and in a way, of course, it was. But it just depends how you look at it. They destroyed the local economy. Many people lost their jobs, logging jobs, and they were forced to move. What remains now are the remnants of essentially these families and groups that decided to stay. And so that's why you have such a small population of 300 in these areas, whereas before they were kind of booming logging towns. But so anyways...
Deforestation.
Sure.
Was that the term you were...
No, not exactly deforestation. Yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah, it was just part of the lumber industry, and because of what they were doing and their impact on the forest and everything. They still have they still log in the region, but it's way, way, way less, and it's much more controlled and regulated than it was before. Almost 80% of the county of Skamania is forest. So, yeah, I mean, that's like, I don't know what you'd call that, brown gold. I mean, these guys they were making money hand over fist, and now it went from being so rich to so poor. So, but anyways, I was living basically in the woods, like almost. There was deer walking through my front yard. I mean, it was beautiful. And out of my window, we had this beautiful mountain range because we were right in the gorge, so in the middle of a mountain range, and it was so beautiful. And then on top of that, my friend Jesse Krause, he was a hiking fanatic. He'd been hiking his whole life. He's like a genius. He knows every hike, every trail. He knows geography. Geography too. He knows, a little bit of biology, a little bit of everything. And he would just explain things to me and how the rocks got there and how they were carved and why and what they're doing there. And he would just take me on hikes. And at first I didn't get it. Before I was been in the military, so I was used to walking around and hiking through the woods and going on rucksack marches and stuff. But I didn't get the joy yet. And it wasn't until we were walking together in the woods and we went to a hike called Wind Mountain. And I started climbing mountains, not hand climbing, but hiking up mountains. And I call it my baptism of hiking kind of on this trail because we went to the top and it finally struck me. And I was completely awestruck by the beauty of everything. Like, we're so high up, it was silent. The river was going as far as the eye could see. You could see trees and mountains everywhere. You could look down into the valley. You could see Mount Hood to our left. I want to say you could see Mount St. Helens to our right. So really big volcanic mountains, big volcanoes. And I was just struck by the beauty of it all. And after that, I've never been the same. I just absolutely fell in love with nature that day. And ever since then, I just started hiking on my own, kayaking, basically anything I can do in nature. And that's one thing I'm really missing living here. I have no yard. I live in an apartment in a city. I've never lived in a city before, like, really. What's so great about life is that it's a journey. So, like, I get to experience what it's like, what many people would say a kind of an isolating life. Like, for example, if you wanted to find a girl to date where I was living, if you got on a dating app, there was maybe like one girl your age in the whole, region or so. Like, you'd have to drive an hour back to the city to find anybody. So, like, I wasn't even dating. Like, kind of more of an isolating life, but I was hiking all the time, falling in love with nature, and I was doing a job I really loved and enjoyed. And at this point, I was sure that I wanted to be a teacher because that's also one of my passions. One of my problems is I have so many passions, and I'm so interested in things that it almost paralyzes me. And it's like then I end up not doing any of them, and then I fall into a deep depression. But I absolutely loved working with kids. I loved teaching. I loved helping people because that's one of my favorite things to do is to help people. And so, I loved the job, but even more so, I fell in love with nature. And so after that, when I finished my associate's degree, I had to decide on our major. Our school system's different than Germany a little bit. And I decided on environmental science for many reasons. Because I thought I would really enjoy a future career working in that field. And I felt like I needed a career where I could give back something to the world and not just take from it. For example, working in an office in a business somewhere, I would very quickly become depressed. And it's not for me, even if I was making okay money. I prefer to do something where we're conserving wildlife, we're conserving nature, Although the Forest Service does deal with cutting trees down, you always do it for the minimal impact or for fire protection or for many things. But I would want to be associated with a career where I have a positive impact on the world. Because that way I get a paycheck, but then also I get like a I don't know, what would you call that, like a social paycheck. I would get like something back for like my person that made me feel like I was doing something good. So yeah, that's the story there.
Cool. So and you started studying that there. The studies that you started, the environmental science, right?
Yeah, exactly. I finished my associates at Clark College, and then I found a military university where I was able to finish the rest of my degree online. I was originally going to study it here. There's many options for it here. There's one just a few hours north of here, and I was going to go there, and I would have been accepted. The only problem was I was already in my third year of my 4-year American bachelor's, and to start at the university here, I would lose all my credits, all of my progress, and the money and time and everything I've put into my school, and I would have had to begin from credit 1, class 1, day 1 again. And at that point, I was like, no, I can finish in a year and a half if I push myself. I'm not going to begin all over again, even if it's free. And so that's why I moved to Germany with one of the ideas of studying here, and I'm still finishing my degree online from America. But still, I have the option of doing my master's here for free.
So you're actually not studying in the Trier University?
No.
See, I didn't know that.
No. I'm not affiliated with any school over here.
No, because you actually were like kind of not happy about the campus.
No, yeah. I was a little disappointed by that. So again, we view Europe like Sweden, Germany, Norway, Finland. We always think of it as like this paradise with all these amazing things. But when I got to Trier University, I was excited to see the campus, and I've never been more depressed of a campus in my whole life. And I don't mean to be rude in any way, shape, or form. There's pros and cons to both systems. That is clear. We pay a lot of money for our school. A lot of money. I mean, the average student might walk away with $50,000 in debt. And so if you calculate that for how many thousands of students go to a university, look at where all that money goes. So you have a beautiful campus, beautiful buildings. You have many team sports. I don't know. Do they even have soccer here?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. No. They have like they have a lot of.
They have like a league or something.
They have also a lot of clubs of different. Like,
okay.
They have.
Okay.
Karate or they even have like a American football team.
Oh yeah. The Stampers.
Team.
I know that.
There's a lot of like.
Okay.
It's not that it's lacking of activities, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, but we have like a huge stadium and everything for games, and we have, football to every sport you can think of, and so many different activities and things. And some of our universities, I mean, my community college where I went, which might be comparable to a Hochschule in Germany, I'd say 4 or 5 times nicer than the Trier University campus. And then if you want to go to a real a university, like Western, for example, or WSU or a couple other places, PSU that I'm familiar with, some of these universities are really stunning. So, but it just depends. What are you looking for? I mean, if you want to save $50,000 and still get a good education so the teachers are really good here, I'm sure. So if you can deal with, I mean, it's not the prettiest campus, but if that's not a big problem for you, and you want to save $50,000, I mean, so pros and cons.
Have you seen other universities?
No, not yet. I hear like Berlin and some places are really beautiful.
No, because sure, it's where I come from. Like Mainz has a university as well. It's like a big university.
Mainz is pretty known. Yeah.
Yeah, and have you been to Mainz?
No, I'm trying to think. My friend was there. I was trying to think if I went with him. No.
Anyway,
I want to check it out.
The difference between like the campus and also it's like a Hochschule. It's not there's there's a university. There's a Hochschule here, so 2 different things. And also in Mainz there's a Hochschule and the university. And like the university is much bigger. It's like a big. It's like a town of its own basically. It has walls around it because it was. It's like a borg.
It sounds like a castle.
Yeah, like a castle.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah, and you have like a lot of different kinds of universities.
Yeah.
So if you only saw the university campus, that is like basic, but it's not ugly. I wouldn't say that.
Where, Trier?
In Trier, yeah. But there are like a lot of different campuses in Germany, and yeah, if you only know Trier and assume that everything looks like this, it's not like this.
Yeah, I understand that. And so, for example, my wife goes to the Hochschule, and I would say that's even nicer because it's more in the wood, the trees, the forest, and things like that. And I'd say their campus is even more pretty in many ways. So, yeah, I mean, Trier University is old. It's from the 15th century, 1400. So, I mean...
oh, wait a second. I was...
the buildings aren't that old, obviously.
I didn't even think about the university all the time. I was thinking about the Hochschule.
So I think the Hochschule is kind of pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no.
This is why I was saying, yeah, the university is very... The architecture is...
depressing.
Well,
like that's
functional.
That's the shit.
Not even functional. It's like a big labyrinth.
That's the shit with this modern German crap. So here's the thing. Coming from America again, we were so stunned by the beauty of the architecture of all the old buildings here. And then now the Germans, I don't know why, the last decades, they think it's this modern look is so cool, and they just look like blocks, the buildings. Yeah. They look so boring. You go to Petersburg here in Trier, where the rich people live, and some of these houses are €1 million, and you look at them, and I mean, they just look like squares. And that's this new modern chic look, and it looks awful to me. Awful. And you see that at some of these university campuses and stuff. They just look like bricks. And at Trier University, there's some... I'm thinking of the Hochschule. They have some beautiful brick buildings, which are nice. But, these new modern buildings... okay, I get it, maybe for like energy and efficiency and everything else, but they're not looking very pretty, I think. Just my opinion.
Yeah, but whatever. So you're like... finishing your studies here, but you're not
correct
studying here.
Yeah, sure. I'm living here, but I'm finishing my degree online.
Okay.
I may go for my master's at Trier University. I haven't decided yet. It just kind of depends what we do next year. If we're moving for me to find work, or if we're going to stay and study. We haven't decided yet. So. Okay.
So maybe you can tell me more about like the differences that you've seen. Like you did grow up in America.
Yeah, born and raised in America.
USA, and like what's the big differences as an American? What did you see that felt like okay, this is really different here, and like maybe for people who want to come visit or live here for a couple of months or whatever. What would you tell them if like a person would come to you and say, hey man, I want to go to Germany for a semester, what should I expect? What would you tell them?
Okay. Wow. Many differences. I wouldn't know where to begin. If somebody wanted to move here, I've met a couple American students here going to the university from random states, and that was interesting. What would I tell them? There's many differences. The people are more the definition of being polite and respectful here is that the Germans kind of give you your space. Americans, we can be a little more loud. We're a little more casual. Whereas over here, so for example, if you go to a bar in America, it's more likely that somebody might start a conversation with you and maybe befriend you this way. Maybe at a university, a young people bar, you might see that in Germany as well. But if you go, what I've just observed, many regular bars or places, people are more likely to leave you alone, kind of give you your space. This can seem like the Germans are more cold in public to the American mind, like to our culture. But what I've learned is that we are viewed as being fake by most of the world. So when we say, oh, hi, how are you doing? Even so, the Germans also say wie geht's, and they don't really care for the answer maybe. Many different countries, people from different countries I've spoken to in Europe have told me the same thing. I mean, I've spoken from people from France, Norway, the Netherlands, Germany, and so on. and they all kind of have the same opinion that Americans we're a bit more fake because we're kind of fake nice. Oh, hi, how are you doing? How's your day? And we don't really care what the answer is. And the Germans, they just skip all that. They don't really do any of that. And so to us, it might seem like they're more cold, but you could also argue that they're more real. So what I've learned is once you get to know a German, you have usually a wall to get past with Germans, whereas Americans might be more open and more casual. But once you get past this kind of wall with a German, I've noticed that the friendship, the relationship that you have with them is usually very real. And for example, my first couple months living here, I had 3 different Germans offer that I can drive their car if I need it for moving things or anything like that. I don't think I've ever had an American offer to give me the keys of their car. So just little things like that. Like if you need help, they're really there for you. If you need, anything from them, they're much more supportive and much more real. It's just what I've noticed once you get past their wall. But getting past their wall can be the difficult part, for example. But that's just one observation of hundreds. So it just depends, Going to university here is going to be different than going to university in America. Clearly, as we were just discussing all the differences on campus. But like, Vasily said, you can find sports groups and different hobby groups that you're interested in. So, it just depends what you make out of it. But overall, you're going to see a lot of cultural differences in Germany. They're very similar to Americans, but you're just going to see some cultural differences. So it just depends.
So what are those? Maybe give us some positives and some negatives.
Yeah, sure. I really enjoy the students. So I enjoy talking and hanging out with the students. They're usually very excited to meet an American for the most part. Now, just be aware that you're going to run into people that are not so excited maybe about meeting Americans. Just depends where you are, who you're talking to, where they're coming from in their life, kind of. So some people might come at you like, so I've had many people like, I don't. But usually they're smart enough to not dislike American people. They just say they don't like the American government. But I've heard it from doctors. I was getting an exam from a doctor here, and he's like, where are you from? Oh, America. And almost any time you bring up America, because of our current political situation and our administration right now, they're always going to bring up Trump. And so whether you're, in favor of him or not in favor of him, doesn't matter. You're always going to hear about it. Sometimes they're more joking with you about him, or other times they're like, they want to slam him. And it just depends, because usually they don't check to see what your political biases might be. Everyone just kind of assumes that everyone is against Trump, yet somehow he was elected to be made president, so somebody somewhere must like him, right? But they never take this into account, and so they will always kind of bash him. And so it depends if you're okay with people bashing your president or not. But that's all over the world, really. You're just going to run into that, and usually people only know what they see in the media. So, but so some people might be slightly anti-American, but they usually have a problem with the government. So like, I don't like all the wars. I don't like what you do in the Middle East. I don't like this. I don't like that. I've met many people who have said that. I've made friends with many Middle Eastern people, many refugees here. Not one of them ever had a problem with me personally. They've all been very friendly and very nice. I've heard many times the opinion of, I don't like what America does in the Middle East. I don't like, the wars. I don't like this and this and that about your country. However, they're usually intelligent enough to say, but that's not the people's fault. That's not every single person's fault. That's, what's going on right now with your government and whatever. So I think that's cool. But other than that, I'd say 80% or more of the people are really excited to meet you if you're an American, or even if you're Canadian. I've seen that. So they're like, where are you coming from? Or you're speaking English. And every German here is so excited to speak English. I mean, like Vasily is speaking English. Everybody I run into, they're speaking almost fluent English. And I think that's because most of them are students. Usually you guys went to gymnasium. And that's...
yeah, we have like a good...
a good school. Good school system.
No, but like the English classes that we get them like from the first year of school from almost some even from kindergarten. If they have like are going to like international kindergarten, they get like French and English. And we also had like, when I was in first grade, I remember we had a very great teacher who was like singing French songs with us and English songs with us, just to like open us for languages. And
see, that's
very nice.
That's a huge difference. If you're coming from America, that's something we can only dream of if you're in some kind of a prep school, a private school, usually something you have to pay a lot of money for. If you want your kids learning French or learning another language, like we have programs for that in high school where you can take a few years, but by that point, like, you know, you're already so old. The idea is you want to start the kids as young as possible learning another language. And unfortunately, I feel like we're pretty ignorant with that in our country. Spanish would be probably the closest to our second language. But, you know, unfortunately, in some ways, we can be a little ignorant with that. We usually, you know, you might hear people to say, speak English, speak American would be the worst one. You know, you're in our country, learn our language, things like that. And that's fine. You should learn the language of your host country. Like I try to learn German as I'm living in Germany. That's only like fair and polite, and I can understand that. But having a diversity of language is a good thing, not a bad thing. And that's something I've learned living abroad. I never knew that before. Like I never thought of it before. But yeah, you hear people like speaking German, speaking Russian, speaking, you know, Spanish, you know, all these different things. And you see that they just have usually a larger view of the world, and they can understand more and have a different idea of cultures around the world. And yeah, learning other languages and diversity of language is a strength, not a weakness. So that's another big difference. Coming here as an American, you're going to see everyone speaking often 2-3 languages, and that's common. English normally being their second one because they learn it from primary school on. And then oftentimes French is usually the third, is what I've noticed.
Yeah, because we have like the option to have French languages, especially in the western part of Germany.
Yeah, West Central.
And because we are close to France, we of course have more classes that give us the option to learn French as the third language. But not everyone does it, and not everyone remembers it after 10th grade or 13th grade, and is when we finish.
Again, we could only dream of such an education like that. So full respect to the European education system.
Yeah,
I give it that 100%. So
so where have you traveled in Germany?
Oh, just in Germany alone or in Europe?
Let's start with Germany and then expand.
Just to finish my last point really fast,
Sure.
If you are a student and you are looking to move to Europe, absolutely don't be afraid of it. You know, life is now. It's so much more important to take these risks in life, and usually more times than not, it's really going to pay off and you're going to enjoy it. And my main point was 80% plus of the people here are going to be very excited to meet you. They're going to want to know your story. You're going to be the interesting person in the room, which is something I've had to get used to. In America, I'm just another guy. But in Germany, you walk into the room and they're like, oh, there's the American. You're suddenly like a minority, but not in a bad way. They're more interested in you. What are you doing here? Why are you here? And they take it as a compliment. Like, oh, you're in our country, you're in our town, and you want to like study and learn our language and do these things. And they're usually like, they take it as a compliment. And I'd say more than 80% are very excited and happy to meet you, speak with you, and also practice their English with you. Like with Vasily or anybody I work with, every time they tell me the same thing. Oh, great, now I can practice my English with somebody, finally, because it's been so long. And I get it all the time from every student. It doesn't matter who they are. And so everyone's going to want to use you as English practice. But just keep in mind that you also need to learn their language. So that can be the difficult relationship you're going to have with people. So other than that, I would say 100% make the move. It's worth it. Europe's amazing. It's beautiful. And you can go on cheap flights and travel all over, which I think we're getting into now. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Drink something. You've been like talking for 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, Jesus. I'm not used to talking so much. Believe it or not, I don't talk so much.
But it works.
Ask my wife. She's talking all the time, and I'm just like, yep, I don't talk so much.
So now you have time to get it all out.
Yeah, exactly. I finally get to tell my story.
Mm.
I definitely have thought about writing a book about like American living abroad or American in Europe, something like this, and just kind of detail all the differences I've noticed. Because even in this podcast, I feel like there wouldn't be enough time, and just so many things. So, but yeah, one of the biggest perks of living here, and one of my biggest life goals, is to travel. So, yeah, in Germany, I haven't been through so much of it. I haven't been to the East Coast. I haven't been to the Northeast. I haven't been to Berlin. But so I've been north.
East Coast.
East Coast? Yeah, it's not a coast. Sorry, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
as,
I was thinking.
I'm thinking as an
about
American.
Right, yeah.
Your east side.
East
I don't
border.
know. Eastern near
Eastern
your
border.
eastern border.
Yeah.
So I really need to get to Berlin and Munich. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So you're northeast and you're south. East.
I can show you Munich. I know Munich.
Oh, great! I'd
Yeah.
love to. Yeah, Munich would be great, especially
My
for
sister-
Oktoberfest
my
and all that
sister
stuff.
lives there, so.
So I've been to Bremen. So
I haven't been there.
you've never been there?
No.
Yeah, it's okay. It's nice. Like, sorry, Bremen.
God damn it, again. I have to change the...
Battery.
No, not the battery. The battery is fine, actually. But because this is a German model, a European model,
Yeah.
and we don't have the the continual
Feature. Option.
to film basically without a stop, because it has to do with Steuern.
Oh yeah, like storage.
Steuern.
That's Speicher.
No.
Power.
No. God damn it. The money that you give to the government.
Oh, taxes. Sorry.
Taxes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I knew that. I knew Steuer was taxes,
Yeah.
but I'm like, no, he must be dealing something
No,
with energy.
it's about taxes, because, like, as I understand, maybe I'm completely wrong, whatever. I'm just going to say it. It's, yeah, if you want to, like, go across a certain point, which is around 30 minutes here, if you would want to do that, you would have to pay more taxes as the what I'm filming on as like
Okay, weird.
Panasonic. They would have to make it more expensive, and so because nobody except for me and some other people is filming more than 30 minutes.
Yeah, on this device maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Rules and regulations over here. But
Yeah, so
a lot of cool ones too. Like you can drink at 16 in a bar here. So big difference.
wine and beer.
Wine and beer,
No
not
shots.
cocktails.
Not. I don't know. I actually don't know.
And you can't stay out past 11 or 10,
Well,
past a certain point.
I don't know.
I should know that as a bartender.
Yeah. Oh, we have the
Yeah, it's on
small
the
poster on the wall.
right.
Anyway, where were we?
Traveling, I think.
Traveling Europe, something.
Um,
Poland, Bremen.
So I've been to Bremen. That's in the northwest of Germany. For people who don't know,
Where the musicians, the
Stadtmusikanten.
It's the
Yeah. What the heck do we call that?
Bremer Stadtmusikanten.
I don't know how well that is known for us. This story.
Yeah,
It's quite known, right?
the Grimm brothers. I
Yeah,
think.
from the Grimm tales.
I hope so. I don't
Yeah. It's where the animals go to town and sing and make music.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
the donkey, the dog.
A rooster or chicken
No. Let's start from
the bottom.
From the bottom.
of
It's
the pyramid.
Donkey, I think the dog, the cat, and the rooster. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah,
do they
I
do?
got a
They
picture
sing.
with the.
Yeah.
They have a statue of this in their
Yeah.
in their downtown central area,
I know
and
that
I got a
one.
picture of it. It was cool. But yeah, Bremen is nice. Once you go more towards the north, they use a lot more of these red bricks, I've noticed. So the architecture changes a little bit. I've noticed the people seem a little friendlier. They don't run into you so much in public, which is nice. And overall, it was quite nice in Bremen. But there's many cities I haven't been to. I'd like to see Hamburg. I'd like to see, Berlin, Munich, things like this.
Yeah.
And then I've been south through the Black Forest, Schwarzwald. I did a tour through there, did some hiking a little bit. Went through Ulm, Germany, where Einstein was born. And I got to see like where his house was. There's a monument there. But there's not much else to see there. The church there has the tallest church steeple in the world, which was cool. But other than that, I think Germany has kind of a love-hate relationship with Einstein. Not so much on the love end.
Really?
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, so for example, in Trier you have Karl Marx stuff everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Einstein's the father of modern physics. I mean, he came out with relativity. He came out with everything he's done is so amazingly groundbreaking and still proves to be true today. And they did not have one T-shirt, nothing. I mean, there's no mention of him. Like it's like he didn't exist there.
Okay,
like
weird.
there was a little monument there, and that was it. And it was depressing.
Yeah. No, but like it's interesting. But I think it's maybe the fault
he kind
of
of
the
disowned.
city.
Yeah. He kind of disowned himself,
Germany.
like Germany. He's like,
because of the.
But even before
Nazi
that,
stuff.
even before all that, I think he's like, I don't really feel at home here, and he just kind of.
When did he go to America actually? Before?
Well, I know
Probably
he
before
left
the
Germany
war?
when he was young, like his teens or 20s, to study and to leave and do these things. And when did he actually come over? I don't know. I don't know when, but
Because Marx also didn't live here, as I understand. He was just born here, and then he moved to Paris or whatever. Right?
Not exactly.
Was it London?
So the Karl Marx Museum, he was born there, but he only lived 1 year there. And then actually, right next to the Porta Nigra, you can't see it in this photo. If you follow this building, there's a Euro shop here. Just above it is where he lived until I think he was 18 years old.
Wait, he wasn't born in the Marxstraße?
Yes, he was born there and lived there for 1 year.
Ah, okay.
And then the rest of his life, he spent like literally just right in front of the Porta Nigra.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Until I want to say 18 or something. I could be wrong on for how long. And then he moved somewhere else. I don't know the full history. I think he end up in England at the end.
Yeah, I think
he
either
died like penniless in an apartment in England.
He was
or something.
super poor.
Yeah.
I think he was in London.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So anyways, we were in Ulm. Beautiful place. It was nice, quite nice. And then we went to the fairy tale Bavarian castle of Neuschwanstein.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I'm saying that with an accent. Very beautiful.
It was pretty good.
Thank you. Very beautiful castle. Very stunning. Very nice. Very international tourist hotspot. So you're going to see people from all over the world. Australia, China, America. You're running into people from everywhere there. And it was quite nice. And of course we did the tour. I do tours of every castle I see because I love castles. And beautiful castle, so much to see on the inside, was an amazing day. So I highly recommend checking that out if you're interested in castles. And then after that, we continued to the Alps, the Bavarian Alps, and we went to a place called Zugspitze, which I'm probably also saying with an accent. You can take a gondola ride to the top. If you don't know what that is, it's like a cable ride. You get in a box and it goes up on a cable to the top of the mountain. It was a horrifying experience. If you're afraid of heights, close your eyes. I would recommend not looking down because it is scary. You get really high up there and you get right up to the side of the mountain and it has like jagged edges and rocks, and it's something like out of Lord of the Rings when you see this mountain pass up there. But you get up there and it's so beautiful and you're so high up and you can see the little villages down on the ground and you can see the rest of the Alps, and it looks, to an American you might say, it looks similar to our Rocky Mountains. Very jagged, tops and covered in white snow. So for me that was really beautiful. And this is the tallest point in Germany, which I didn't know before I went there, and so I thought that was a really cool
We learned
concept.
this in the 6th grade, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
in
okay.
geography.
So that's like a
Zugspitze
basic
is the-
German principle you learn here.
Yeah.
Ah.
That Zugspitze is the highest.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No.
Yeah, I didn't know that, of course, but I learned it, and I thought that was so cool. And it's also sharing, the Austrian border. And so, as you're up on the top of Zugspitze, you can walk from Germany to Austria, kind of back and forth across the border. And they have the flags on either side and the different viewpoints and everything. Yeah, and so, I thought that was really beautiful. And that's basically all I've seen in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't go to Munich. We went right by it. I don't know why. And that's it. So I haven't seen Munich, Berlin, Hamburg, and I'm sure I'm missing all kinds of other cool places like Mainz. And I've been to Frankfurt, but it's because of the airport. So I landed there.
So you haven't been in the city at all?
I checked it out for like a day, maybe a few hours. I had a drink. I looked around, but I wouldn't say I've really explored Frankfurt.
Okay.
No, I need to.
So a friend of mine is Marcus. Shout out Marcus. is coming to Germany, and he wants to visit me. So maybe we can do a group activity.
Yeah, sure.
And we can go to Mainz, to Frankfurt, to
cool.
Darmstadt, which is all like in the same area, and Wiesbaden. It's like 4 different cities
I was in
that
Wiesbaden.
are very close to each other, and they are all like very different and very nice to look at in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah, there's an army base out in Wiesbaden, and I have Air Force friends, and I know a guy who was working there, and we were able to see the 4th of July, go there for 4th of July and see the fireworks, which is cool. As an American, you kind of are missing a few holidays over here, like 4th of July, of course a lot of our government holidays, Martin Luther King and so on. You have Halloween here, but it's not as nearly as big. Like we do something in Louisiana, we have a big party and stuff, but it's not really celebrated so much here. And then of course Thanksgiving is non-existent. So for Thanksgiving and 4th of July, I try and always go to a military base, and or of course I have it with my family here, 4th of Thanksgiving, not 4th of July. That way I don't completely lose these holidays. But a lot of the other ones, like people are like, hey, it's Memorial Day. I'm like, what? Like, oh, okay. Or little things like that. Like I don't remember or think about it. Like, oh, Memorial Day, or, sorry, Martin Luther King, but yeah, Martin Luther King Day, or certain things like that. Like, if nobody else around you is celebrating these holidays, you kind of don't think about it. You sort of slowly kind of blend into the culture of where you're living. Mm-hmm. And so here, things like Carnival are really big. Mm-hmm. And I love it because it's just like Halloween, except, not all the costumes are scary. They're not going for a horror theme. They're just dressing up in anything. And they're partying and drinking in the streets, and it's crazy.
For like 4 days.
It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it in my whole life. Yeah. It's crazy. You would have to compare it to our spring break mixed with Halloween. That would be the closest comparison.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah, because I've never seen anything like it, and that's something I would miss if I moved away. Things like that, like really cool stuff here.
Yeah, it's cool for me to live here in Trier. I come from Mainz, which is a bigger city,
right?
And like the carnival there is like a lot bigger than here. Mm-hmm. But here I live in the street where the wagons pass by. So I just look out of my window and like everything is there. So like 2 times I think already I just stayed in the apartment with my friends and just celebrated in my room while people were throwing candy into my into the window.
Oh, I get what you're saying. When they do like the parades, you mean?
The parade, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, so wagon was correct. I'm like, wagon? Okay, yeah, like because they come through on, like these floats, we would call them maybe. So like they, they're all decorated and they like throw candy and all this stuff. So
and every of those
floats we would call them
has a different like
no German would know that word.
Yeah, it's like
a
different theme like and different.
But they're political themes often.
Yeah, also like
and controversial.
Exactly. Yeah, they have a lot of
There was a Donald Trump
there.
one, yes.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Probably not even one.
Oh, several. Yeah, of course.
And like depending on which city they get like super political. I think in Mainz it's like very I don't know if the most, but like a very political carnival.
Yeah, sure.
So and
so like we have floats, for example, in our Macy's parades. What's it called? For Thanksgiving, it's one of our biggest ones, for example. But it's all like festive and holiday and blah blah blah. And we have many different parades and floats, but Carnival is an interesting one, but you have to know the history a little bit and why. And it's kind of the idea of people go wild in the streets and they go to the mayor and they get the key to the city and they're dressed as jesters often and clowns. And it's the idea of taking the power back from the government. And it's like for a day or a week, the city goes wild and it's like they take the political power or they take the power away. And I think it's also a big, probably has roots in expression of freedom of speech, I would imagine, because of all these controversial political floats they have. For example, it's an idea to really criticize those in charge and, metaphorically take power back from the government. And then also it has religious roots as well, I would imagine. Yeah, Carnival is it's before the Lent Catholic holiday, and Carnival, if you translate it, means to do away with meat. So. Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Is it before or after?
Before.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a week before Lent.
Okay.
And so you do Lent for 40 days. I think Lars does it every year. Yeah. And in the Catholic tradition, you usually give up something. So
you do a big party before you have
exactly. So it has roots. It has, of course, religious Catholic roots, but it also has political and other roots.
Yeah, but it only doesn't, as I understand, maybe I don't remember correctly, but it also has like Celtic roots.
I'm sure it does
because it's also like as in Halloween, you do dress up as devils and stuff. So
yeah. Halloween's a little different, but I've heard so many different theories and ideas of why and who and what, so I don't know what to believe anymore. I mean, I was told originally that it's the idea of, similar to an Oktoberfest, it's the idea of like the end of the harvest season, in this time, and everyone celebrates. But then I heard that they would dress the boys as girls and the girls as boys or something weird like that, and it was to confuse the spirits that came, so they didn't grab the boys, or I forget the exact roots of Halloween. And I've heard so many different versions. I feel like I don't know what's true anymore, or what to believe. But Halloween's a little different than Carnival, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah.
But we also have have you been to wine fairs, basically? Because
wine festivals.
We have a lot of them in all different kinds of cities, also in very small towns. So where I went to gymnasium to high school, it's 30 kilometers away from Mainz in Alzey, and in between Alzey and Mainz there are 10 towns the train is passing, and almost every town is a wine town, which makes its own wine.
Totally understand, yeah.
And every one of those towns has in September and October, when the wine is harvested, they have those wine festivities. So it was very nice to be a high schooler at the time there, and I had a lot of friends there, so we went to all of those, and yeah.
That's another huge difference. If you're coming from America to Germany, for example, they take their wine very serious here, and this is a wine region. Where I was living in the Gorge was also kind of a wine region, because you can imagine there were slopes everywhere, and wherever there's slopes, it's a good place to have a vineyard. Not everywhere, but in many places. And over here, they take it serious, and they have a lot of small mom and pop vineyards everywhere. In Cochem, for example, around the castle, you can drink wine from the grapes that are grown on the slopes of the castle grounds. For an American, it's wow, for example. Or when you're driving into Trier or in this region, in the Eifel, there's so much, you see vineyards everywhere. And in the center of Trier in the Hauptmarkt, they have a wine stand.
Yeah.
And every day or every other day, it's a different vineyard. And you can go for €2 and you can sample the wine of all these regional, regionally grown wines. And they're really famous for the Riesling and the Elbling wine here. So it's really amazing. I love the wine here too. So big difference. And and they have the festivals. And I went to a wine festival, again, as an American. I've never been to a wine festival. And it was amazing. And they had fireworks. And I'm like, why do you have fireworks at a wine festival? And they were like, because we can.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. And everyone was drinking as always and crazy and going wild. And it was a good time. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, we talked about Germany. So where have you been outside of Germany?
So this August marked my 3rd year here. So I've been here exactly just about 3 years, 3 years and a month. And in that time, I've tried to travel as much as I can, but being a poor student also makes it difficult. So, yeah, I've been to Paris about 3-4 times. I actually proposed to my wife there on the Eiffel Tower. It's on YouTube. Look it up. I've been to Amsterdam about 3 or 4 times. And that's a very, how do I say, mislabeled or misunderstood city. In my opinion, Amsterdam is so beautiful and so nice. I really love the canals that are everywhere. It can be a very romantic city. That's also where me and my wife started dating. And so maybe that's why it has sentimental value to me. But it can be a very beautiful city. The buildings are very interesting and nice. The people were friendly, very international. Everybody's riding a bicycle. It's crazy. But that's also for a historical reason. The canals are beautiful, as I said. And the culture was very nice, easygoing, and progressive. And everyone just thinks Amsterdam is just like weed and hookers. And you have that too.
It's a big part of it.
You have that too. But there's also many other things there. And from the culture to the cheese to we went to an ice bar. We did a canal cruise. I mean, I loved it there. It was really nice. Okay, so where did I say? So Paris, yeah, Amsterdam. We went to London last year. And that was interesting for me because for the first time in Europe, I was able to visit a country where their native language is English, if you want to call it English. No. We can understand each other just fine in England, but they probably think we sound silly, like we have an accent. And that's funny because we think they sound ridiculous half the time when they're speaking, depending on who you're speaking with and how bad their accent is. And if they're speaking sort of proper Oxford English or if they're speaking more of a neighborhood slang, there's a big difference.
Yeah, they have like a lot of different, not accents, but
dialects. What do we call it? Dialect, yeah. Yeah, we might call it slang. They speak in slang, things like that. But London was interesting, very interesting trip. And then, let's see, I went to Budapest with my American friend Jeff. Shout out to Jeff. Jeff has been to mines, surprisingly. I haven't been, and he has been. He has. He was seeing a friend up there, a lady friend, pretty sure.
Good for him.
Yeah, it's not bad. As a tourist, mad respect. But we went to Budapest together. The original idea was to be a bachelor party, and there was about 10 guys involved. And every single guy dropped out at the last minute or along the way.
Oh, damn.
And the guy, Christian, shout out to Christian, who I'm going with rafting with him this Sunday. Great guy. He set up the entire trip, so he booked everything with Budapest. And the flights, where we were staying, which was, we had our own apartment downtown Budapest for €14 a night.
Yeah.
It was
Budapest is cheap.
At least at this point it was. I've looked at flights and deals now. They're totally more expensive.
It also depends on the season.
You have to go in an off season. Yeah. So that's what I've learned traveling over here. If you want to travel cheap, go from a Wednesday to a Saturday. Just weird days that people aren't wanting to leave and come on. And go with obviously flights like companies like Ryanair, Wizz Air, or Wizz. I don't know if it's Wizz or Wizz Air. Let's say Wizz. and some of these other cheap budget airlines. They're amazing. I don't care what anyone says about them. For €20, you can take a flight to another country. So I don't care. I think they're amazing. But went to Budapest, was amazing, great time. And then just recently, a couple weeks ago, my wife and I, we went to Milano. We say Milan. The Italians say Milano, and the Germans call it Milan. So pick one. I don't know. And we did about 4 days there, and that was the best pizza and gelato I've ever had in my life. Other than that, it was just a nice short trip. Actually, right now, we're already planning another trip, but we're not sure yet where. So maybe Greece or Croatia or Majorca, somewhere where there's water involved. Because Milan was very nice, good history. It was a bit like Trier, you know.
It's you had a big, right?
Sorry?
It's not very big, right?
It's not very big. No, it's not huge at all. I don't know what you would call it. Maybe a medium-sized city. Bigger than Trier, no comparison, but by no means, it's no Berlin or anything, no. But I mean, it was great. Like the painting of the Last Supper is there, for example, and like their main cathedral, their dome. They took 600 years to build, and my wife and I had tickets to go on top, and we right next to there's like this main shopping district where they have like Gucci and Prada and Louis Vuitton, and it's very interesting. But it's a city trip. So I mean, I love nature. I want to go to the Alps. I want to go to the forest. I want to go see these things. But also I have to keep in mind that we have, besides the Alps, we have forests and rivers and waterfalls and so on where I'm from. And I'm over here to see the culture, the people, the architecture, the food. And so that's why I make all these city trips, which are actually unlike me, but it's because I'm so interested in European culture. So, but yeah, it's one of the best things here is that you can hop on a €20 Ryanair flight and go to Greece.
Yeah.
So we're definitely planning another trip soon.
Yeah, sometimes it's more expensive to get to another German city than to fly to another country. It's like because
we were just talking about that, my wife and I. to go to Kochum on the train here, I mean it was like €50, €60, and I absolutely, no joke, it was €17 one way, one person for a flight to Milan, Italy. Okay, Milan Bergamo, so
but still
30 minutes away. So you take a €7 bus that takes you there. It's nothing. I mean, to take a taxi home across the city costs more than it does to hop on a flight here. It's for an American, that's unbelievable. Yeah. Because where we're coming from, Portland, Oregon, just to go to, if you want to visit Vancouver, Canada, you're looking at $300 easy. This is a 2-hour flight. And here, I mean, I did an 1.5-hour flight for $20.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not every time. It has to be a budget airline. It has to be at the off season. You have to. It has to be just right. But I mean, you can travel real cheap here if you plan it.
Yeah. So. But I also have seen that now there are like super cheap options to fly to America.
Really?
Amazingly, it's like $230 to either New York or Miami.
Yeah, our East Coast. I'm from the West.
Maybe it. Yeah, probably.
No, but no joke. No joke. So when I came, it was like $750. My buddy comes regularly. He visits me every year, and he pays $850 to $1,200 somewhere in there. Oh, wow. But if you're really smart and you look ahead and you plan it right, I saw Condor Airlines. It's a German company, and that's what I flew on over here. Yeah. And they fly direct flight from PDX Airport, Portland, Oregon, to Frankfurt. And it's an 11-hour flight, 11-hour flight. And I saw options for like $399. I think round trip, which is like... Wow.
I'm saying...
that's real cheap.
$230 as a round trip, which is crazy.
As a round trip?
As a round trip. And it's not even so... I think, like, right now...
We're getting...
Let's just look it up.
We're getting more and more connected. That's so crazy. And I know a lot of people bash these budget airlines and these things, and they're not so good for the economy or something. I don't know, but hey,
if you can,
if I can take a €20 flight to Milan, Italy, I will do it.
So
It allows you to travel as a poor student. I mean, come on. For
Yeah.
me, it's the most amazing thing.
okay, so we are in September now, and you already it's just 2 weeks from now you can get a 263 euro
Wow.
for a week,
Wow.
back and forth. 263 euro.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What's the airline, do you know? Is it like
It
Condor?
would be. I think it's the French one.
Okay. I don't know it then.
Or is it? No, it's Lufthansa.
It's Lufthansa?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Lufthansa and United.
United, we know. Yeah. Wow. That's so crazy.
Okay. So yeah, it's.
That's so
It
cheap.
works.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the world's becoming more and more connected slowly, so that's amazing. It's so cool. And when Elon Musk builds his Hyperloop, then we'll really be in business.
We should all invest in SpaceX.
Of course, and Teslas.
Yeah. Everything Musk.
Yeah. Everything must go.
Well, maybe we should stop right now.
Yeah, bring it to an end.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking for like 1.5 hours.
It goes fast. It goes
Yeah.
fast. Now I can see how people do these 3-4 hour podcasts.
Yeah. It's just if you have something like if you just have things to say and like I didn't have to
Yeah.
to even ask many things because like every time you were like saying that you keep talking without me interrupting or whatever because like you went from one point to the other which I wanted to bring up, so I was like my job here is done.
The problem is, I have so much to talk about. Like, I'm so ready to talk about it, and I've been talking to everyone who will listen, basically. But of course, this is a much better way to get my story out there. But there's so much to talk about. I mean, moving to Europe, studying everything. I mean, just marrying a German. I mean, there's so many subjects to cover. I mean. So of course I'm going to ramble into so many different ones.
Maybe do talk about like what if the relationship to a German lady is different to an American one.
It
or
depends.
like of course it depends from person to person, but if there are like
yeah, it depends. Again, what are you looking for in life? So for me, I'm fascinated and interested by things that are different, things and people. And for me, of course, I could have dated and married and gotten along with an American girl, no problem. But just the fact that you're with somebody that they're coming from a different culture, different country, they grew up with a different language, they're going to view the world, regardless of how similar you may be, they're going to view the world a lot different than you. And that adds, normally, it's good for the relationship. It adds different layers to it. You have more things to compare and talk about and decide upon and figure out. Whereas if you're with somebody from your hometown or village, maybe it's not so exciting than being with somebody from the other side of the world. So for me, it's definitely more interesting and more exciting to be with a German girl. Just in my experience.
Yeah. Well, you did marry her pretty
fast. Well, we got engaged pretty fast.
Yeah.
Well, it depends how you look at it. We were engaged at 10 months, and then we were married about 2 years in, somewhere in there. So we moved pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Yeah. What do you think? Do we have some other topic?
Yeah,
about?
probably many topics, but I don't think we could fit it all in one podcast. We might have to do several.
Sure.
You can call it the the American series or whatever.
Yeah,
it can be a playlist of.
Yeah, we can.
We probably have to do several.
Yeah, if you want, we can if in a month or so we can see.
Maybe get it on YouTube
some
and see how well it's received. It might take time, but maybe there's an interest in it. Maybe there's many students who are wanting to know what's it like in Europe. And what's perfect is I wanted to start a vlog or a YouTube channel anyway. So if it goes from there, I mean, we can do podcasts, and then if we find out that people are asking in the comments, I want to see the city, I want to see the history, I want to see the university, I want to see what it's like, then that could kind of branch off into other projects. Cool. That could be really cool.
Yeah, because like we started, like I basically invited you over because you invited me, like
close
I
enough.
asked you to
it was your idea
to participate in my podcast because I started it, like I haven't started it yet, but
you're getting going with it.
Yeah, clearly. Exactly. When I will broadcast it, I will have several before it.
Yeah, episodes basically. Yeah. Smart.
And basically you seem to be as interested in podcast as I was.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how we both want to like create content.
Absolutely.
In that way, and that's why I like thought you would be interesting to talk to because you're free to do that anyway, and because you have what I think is an interesting story to hear from at least those people who maybe want to come visit Germany.
Yeah, or see all the differences, exactly. Yeah. Like I told you, to the Americans watching, you're unique when you're over here, so people want to know your story. You don't get that very often back in your hometown, do you? So, yeah, it's exciting. And yeah, my wife wants to start vlogging anyways, and I've wanted to start it pretty much my first year here. I wanted to start a YouTube about, an American living abroad, an American in Germany, Euro traveler. I've thought of many names. And just do short couple minute videos about I could go on and on and on. Like the doors are different here, they open in instead of out. That would be a fire hazard in America, for example. That would be illegal. So many differences. The way they name their levels in a building, for example. The way they drive, the Autobahn. I mean, I could go on for hours about the differences, and so I always thought I could take each topic and make little video vlogs about it. I don't know if you call that a vlog. Just video.
Yeah, it's a vlog.
Okay. Just make like little couple minute videos about it and go from there. So I think it could be an interesting idea. If you guys think it's interesting, write it in the comments below.
Exactly.
And don't forget to click like and subscribe.
All right. We're done. So maybe we see each other
again.
And see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.